Sonic X Shadow Generations has been truly overwhelmingly positive. And as a Sonic fan, I absolutely love that, and I really like to see the community come together and be in one really big positive community. And whenever there's a new piece of news coming out for the game, people get really excited and the hype becomes higher and higher. Sega has continued to announce different things from music, stages, gameplay, and different Doom powers. And even today, a lot of stuff coming out early this morning as of recording this. Just today, we got the new official key art for Sonic X Shadow Generations, and I truly thought that nothing could beat the Japanese box art, and they really outdid themselves with this one. The dark side of what looks like Speed Highway to the right of Shadow's side being more of a radical highway, and then having the Time Eater and Black Doom, which I believe that's some new type of creation that he is. It looks amazing, and then everything splitting in the middle, and you can kind of see the open hub world that Shadow goes into. This is by far the coolest key art that we have gotten for any Sonic game, period. I know it's only been a couple hours as of recording this, but this is insane what they did here. There's just so much to unpack here, and there's so much to look at, and just overall the colors of everything look so good. There's even a really cool detail if you look at Shadow's shadow that you can kind of see his wing come out of him, which is really cool to show that it's still there even though he doesn't have it physically out. So I think that's a really cool touch, and I think this is more of a closer look of what potentially the final boss is going to end up looking like in the game. Many people speculated that the Time Eater will be the final boss, but it actually looks like it's going to be some type of Black Doom creation. Or this is just a new form for him altogether. We also get a look at 3 of the stages that have been announced so far and the entrance to them in the hub world. In these images, you can see the Arc, Rail Canyon, and Kingdom Valley in their entrances, and these look super cool, and I like that they're kind of sticking to the Generation style with these, even if they're in more of a 3D atmosphere. I like the idea that you're still sticking to a lot of what Generations is, even though that it seems like a lot of stuff is still going to be different within the game. The other thing that we ended up getting yesterday as of recording this was the Fearless interview with Takashi Iizuka. This answered a lot of questions about Shadow that fans specifically had for Iizuka. And keep in mind with what I'm about to say, I understand that this interview might not be as serious as I make it seem out to be, but the thing with this interview is there really isn't a lot to it, and it's not something that I generally really want to talk about, but this interview is genuinely the first time I've kind of been concerned about the game, and potentially could be one of the only things that this game looks like it could actually fail at. One of the first questions they ask is why Shadow is a hedgehog. I mean, it's been one of the biggest conspiracy theories that has been within Sonic community forever. With people coming up theories like the Angel Island thing with the mural of Sonic 3 and Gerald Robotnik looking at that and designing Shadow after the hero blue hedgehog, a lot of people thought that Shadow was just designed after that. And people just kind of ran with it, and even more point to prove to that theory is at the end with the pre-order bonus of Gerald Robotnik's journal, you see a picture of Angel Island in the book. So a lot of people just assuming that that's going to confirm that theory, and Sega just decided to run with that. Or they just generally liked that theory so much. But when he was asked the question, Iizuka just kind of jumps around the question in a way, which is kind of odd. He just kind of talks about how Shadow's a very mysterious character, and you never know what's going to happen next. And while that's correct, and that's definitely what we get from Shadow, and I think that's why a lot of people love him, what he says at the end kind of concerns me. He just kind of says, everyone have fun coming up with your own theories about what Shadow's backstory is. Why that kind of concerns me is because I thought that we were going to get a lot more information on his backstory within Sonic X Shadow Generations, within Dark Beginnings, and also inside of Gerald's journal. You would think that that's kind of the main intentions of the early episodes of the animation for Dark Beginnings, and also a big part of that journal would be the science behind Shadow and also the beginnings and the creation of him. And you would kind of think that that would answer why he chose a hedgehog. I understand if Sega wanted to make it to where it's just kind of up to your own thoughts on why you think he's a hedgehog, and that's totally fine. It's just weird that they would market to seem like that's all going to be answered within this game. And I think that kind of moves directly into the next question that he was asked. Sonic OVT basically asked, with a character with such a deep history as Shadow, is the main focus to reintroduce Shadow's backstory, or will the approach be to take his character in a new direction? I think that's a pretty fair question and kind of an expectation for Sonic X Shadow Generations from what we've seen so far. And it's only natural that a fan would ask that to him. And the way he answers this is just kind of super short, and he just kind of tries to skip past the question is what it seems like to me. I mean, he could just be trying to come up with some really short answers, and that's all he's really going for with this interview, but it just seems like he really speeds past it. He basically talks about Shadow carrying the weight of his past throughout the games, which, as we all know, he does. He basically says it depends on the media whether they're going to talk about his past, present, or future. And that's it. I don't really see how that answered the question in any way other than just we're not going to reveal anything at this time, or there is no plans to talk about his past. I don't really get it, and I don't really understand why he would answer the questions this way. In my opinion, they've already revealed stuff about his past. He even talks about movie 3, so he's not even specifically just talking about Sonic X Shadow Generations, the game. He could have instantly said, oh, in Dark Beginnings, we are definitely going to bring up some stuff in his past, as we've already seen in the trailer. This has just been my #1 concern so far, and it's kind of been something that I've been kind of holding under my breath, and something that I've just kind of been trying to wait for the game to come out to see what's going to truly happen. And I could be entirely wrong with what I'm speculating here, and I hope I am. But it really seems like that story is not going to be a main focus within this. I thought with Doom powers activating, he would explore a lot of the past of how the Doom powers came to be and how they're activated within Shadow. With Dark Beginnings, the animations kind of leading up to Sonic X Shadow Generations of 1, how he got in the situation that he's in, and 2, in Dark Beginnings, I thought we were going to get a lot more on his creation, but also what happened on the arc. I don't expect the episodes to be extremely long in Dark Beginnings, and that's totally fine. I just expected each episode to kind of go into more of his past, more of his present, and then even more of his future. And it kind of seems like that won't be the case. Everything kind of seems like he's just focusing on what he's going to be doing in the present, basically. And that's really it for what I want to talk about within this interview, as he doesn't really talk a lot more about Sonic X Shadow Generations. He just kind of talks about Shadow as a character and kind of basic things you already know. The only other stuff that's kind of interesting is he basically says there's no plans for another character of the year, but there could be in the future. And basically, Shadow is unemployed. That's about it. And I know some people are going to read the title of the video and also the thumbnail and absolutely roast me in the comments without even watching the video. I think that Sonic X Shadow Generations has the making to be the best Sonic game ever. And I think it's very well going to happen, in my personal opinion. I already love Generations, and it's already a top 3 game. With adding everything that they've said they're going to add already, this game seems like it's going to be incredible. The only thing that I have genuinely concerns about is simply just the story. And I know some people just don't really care about the story when it comes to Sonic, but Shadow is that one character that I kind of care about when it comes to story. Sonic, I don't mind too much just because there isn't a bunch to his story. Shadow just has a story that's really dark and mysterious, and it truly makes you crave more of his story with so many unanswered questions that are inside of his story. We only know so much from Adventure 2 and also Shadow the Hedgehog, and there's still so much unanswered. And while I might have ranted a little bit with Takashi Iizuka's interview and also might have upset some people along the way within this video, let me in the second half of this video talk about how Sonic X Shadow Generations feels really special and how I think it's going to be great. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Sonic X Shadow Generations has seen overwhelmingly positive reactions to the game, and it truly seems like nobody's angry about anything when it comes to this game. The only thing that I've really noticed is the whole forces argument, and I think that's stupid to begin with. But I think a big reason why that the reactions have been so overwhelmingly positive, I think, is the marketing. I mean, when this game was initially leaked and rumors started circling around that Sonic Generations was going to be getting a remaster while adding Shadow into it, people had really bad reactions to the game. And with the likes of trailers, merchandise, animations, and overall trailers, this game made a complete 180. I mean, this game should be studied by just how mad people were that this game was getting a remaster over the likes of Adventure 2, Heroes, Unleashed, and how they completely pulled the 180 for people to love it. I mean, a lot of stuff was definitely unanswered when this game was initially leaked, but it's pretty crazy to see this game just absolutely flip around in the way that it was reacted to. But the second Shadow showed up and they flipped to gameplay within that first trailer we got for Sonic X Shadow Generations, all of your worries truly went away. This wasn't just simply adding Shadow to Generations, this was entirely giving him a new game with new stages, new abilities, a whole different engine, and people instantly were excited for it. And the more gameplay, trailers, music to come out for this, the more that you feel excited and the more you just want to play this game. And I'm truly jealous of anyone that's gotten to play the game already because this looks like so much fun to play and I just want to get my hands on Shadow Generations. Also, the amount of merch that is coming to this game is insane. It really feels like just when you thought there was enough, there's more to be announced every day. The biggest ones for sure are definitely the collector's editions that were announced for Japan, giving you a lot of stuff, but also the limited run edition. And these are amazing, but goddamn Sega, my pockets hurt! I mean, these collector's editions ain't cheap, but you know, here I am buying them, right? I guess this is what they do, is to get the fools like me to buy it. But there's also just a bunch of little pre-order bonuses and different things that keep coming up that it's truly hard to keep track of how many pre-order bonuses there actually is. But I think it's really cool that Sega is doing something to make players feel special when picking up the game. It seems like no matter where you're going to be purchasing the game, you're going to be getting something to go home with alongside of the copy of the game. And that's a really cool thing that Sega's doing. It makes every player feel special no matter where they're shopping or what their local retailer is. And that's not even the only stuff. You have Sonic Movie 3 coming out that just alone when people see Shadow, I'm sure instantly gonna go run to their parents or go to their local store and say, hey, I want to play as Shadow. He was badass in Sonic Movie 3. Let me go pick up Sonic X Shadow Generations. I guarantee that's one of the biggest reasons why they decided to make this game to begin with. And also the prologue of Shadow the Hedgehog in Dark Beginnings, like we talked about earlier. I think that's going to be another big thing that just drives people into playing the game. I mean, you're already making basically an anime of Shadow the Hedgehog, and that alone is just crazy. It looks so well done, and I think this is going to be something that people watch for years to come. Especially if they do decide to answer a lot of questions about Shadow's past, I think that this is going to be a big reason why people will continue to watch this. Especially if you're just getting into Sonic and you really like Shadow or you want to know about his past or even his present or future. That's the biggest recommendation I'm sure people are going to end up making, is saying, hey, go watch Dark Beginnings because it actually answers a lot about Shadow and it's a really cool animation. But overall, I think that Sonic X Shadow Generations is truly shaping what marketing is going to look like for future Sonic games. If this does well and this game sells extremely well, and I speculate that it does, I think this is going to be the standard with all the stuff that they've announced. They've already done animations for Superstars, Frontiers, and now this game. It really seems like this is going to be something that they're going to continue to do. And it seems like the collector's editions and also all the different little pre-order things, people are getting really excited about to be able to find every single piece of it. And I think in general, this is just going to be the standard for marketing. I think this is just what Sonic's gonna look like, and Sonic is getting more and more popular each and every game, each and every movie, and each and every show. It's kind of crazy to look back at the early 2010s or even the early 2000s when Sonic was really big in my life, just how little people actually knew about it. But it's pretty crazy just to listen about how much people love Sonic now. I mean, I come from being at school and saying that I like Sonic and people making fun of me for playing a game like Sonic 06 and saying, well, just play Mario, just play Zelda, and making fun of me just because I loved the blue hedgehog. But now today, it's almost cool to like Sonic, which is really weird to think in my personal opinion, but in a way, it's a really bittersweet feeling. It makes me really happy to know just how much this guy has moved on and how much he is shining now. Moved on from the dark past of so many people making fun of him, but also just criticizing everything he does. Instead, people just get excited for when a new game is going to release and all this different animations and everything like that. Sonic is truly back, and Shadow is coming alongside with him, and that makes me so happy. Shadow has been a character that truly people have asked for each and every game or any piece of media. One of the biggest questions that is asked whenever a game is announced, a show is announced, or anything. People will always ask, where is Shadow? What is Shadow up to? Or how does this affect Shadow's story? Honestly, sometimes I question if Sonic is even the main character anymore. Shadow is just so popular now. I mean, if you know Sonic, you know Shadow now. And Shadow is one of the big reasons why I think this game is going to feel so special. Like I said, people have been craving Shadow and they will genuinely always ask where this guy is. It's actually kind of crazy. But even after Force's episode Shadow, people have really wanted more from Shadow. They wanted redemption for Shadow, and by all means, we definitely deserve redemption after episode Shadow and how bad it was. They hyped up episode Shadow so much and it generally just ended up flopping so hard. But also giving him new stories, revisiting his past, you know, giving him new Doom powers, just incredible animations within the game, really cool gameplay. This game looks perfect for Shadow, and Sega has truly done justice for Shadow. This game truly has the makings to make Shadow amazing again. And generally the last thing that I'll really even touch on is just simply nostalgia. While this game is an entirely different engine than Generations, you have to keep in mind that we're running through somewhat of Shadow's past and also some older stages. Bringing back stages like Radical Highway, Final Chase, Kingdom Valley, Bullet Station, bringing back a lot of stages like that, truly it just alone gets me excited to play the game and revisit those areas in a new setting. Seeing those settings return, seeing remixed music iterations of them, and also just seeing new pathways and just a new gameplay style for it looks amazing, and I can't wait to run through each and every single one of his stages multiple times. I generally have so many great memories through each of those stages, and so many great memories of just playing as Shadow inside of those games that I think that this is genuinely just super hype, and I can't wait to see how they're going to be remade in the Generation style. So with that being said, are you excited for Sonic X Shadow Generations, or potentially what's your concerns that you have that are either similar to mine or potentially even different than mine? I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. But with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.